Well, hate it or love it, the bottom line is that your boy Matt did not come to play. Okay? He came on serious business. And if you feel any ways or strongly about it, then the real question for you is and should be, why didn't Gretchen's man come to defend her? Why he ain't show up? Why come? Y'all know we're going to get into the things of the things. What is going on, y'all? It's your girl Taina B here, and welcome to my chat party. If you're here to join me a little bit, a lot of it, fashionably early, fashionably late, I appreciate you so much from the bottom of my heart to hear my little thoughts, my little views, my little opinions on the Real Housewives of Orange County season 19 reunion episode, or not episode, reunion part 2. I know I am super late yet again to the party, but as I mentioned to you guys in my last video, I was traveling to New York to visit some fam, which I did, had a wonderful time, but ended up being just hellacious getting back because my sons and I actually flew up there. So while we had a great time, it was just an exhausting time. And listen, that's a whole nother story for a whole nother video in terms of these flight delays and cancellations and rebookings and all of that. I'm so glad that everything is a little more on track from what I'm hearing as of maybe yesterday, but it was just crazy. So even with the time up there, I had no time whatsoever to even really breathe good. So in terms of me just trying to watch the show and record while I was there, that was an absolute no go. But anywho, anyhow, here I am, here I go. So those of you who will show your continued support, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, especially for the love that you showed in the last video. But I'm going to go ahead and get into this. Also have to disclaim and mention that wasn't feeling this good or feeling that good coming back. Had some major exhaustion going on, and I ended up getting sick with the weather change. So I'm kind of feeling way better than I did, but not A1. So even watching or trying to catch up literally this morning and then watching the second part of the reunion, part of my afternoon here has been a lot. So I ain't gonna hold y'all. I definitely am going to be missing some things. So that's when y'all get on the dance floor and fill in your comments and all of that. Can't go back and recap part one because you already been there, done that. So I'll just say with that, my main highlights, of course, you start off with the fashions. What were the ladies really giving? In my opinion, the best dress, even if you want to say neck and neck, would go to Katie and Emily. No, whoa, whoa, whoa. Katie and Gina. Sorry. Gina and Emily are so intertwined that when I think of one, I think of the other one. I think of the other, I think of the one. Yeah. So Emily, and I said it again. Gina. I'm tired. I'm sorry. Gina and Katie. Okay. And that's it. I feel like my third maybe will probably go to Shannon because I feel like Shannon, while she keeps it basic, there's always that clean look, right? Sometimes keeping it simple can be very elegant. I feel like she always gives a tune and a note of elegance to whatever she has on, even if it's not going on and it fits her, you know? So, anywho's, I know y'all like, all right, come on, come on. So let's go ahead and get into it. And also out there, when what I gathered from watching that last or that part one is that there was a whole lot of backpedaling going on when it came to Katie. Like I felt like the ladies were much nicer to her. I felt like, oh, they had some level of understanding now. Okay. And okay, some will say, well, yeah, because they were able to watch the season. But I'm going to go with the fact of no, they were able to catch that heat and hear what the fans had to say. And you know, these folks on these platforms are always trying to put their ear out to what the fans are doing. So if they know, you know, they should make some adjustments or not. And I felt like this is exactly, or that's exactly what it was giving. They knew they needed to make some adjustments. They know people, most people were Team Katie and riding hard, and they had to fix that. Okay, so I felt like even if they still don't see it for all the way, oh, they sure were acting on their best behavior. They were playing nice in the sandbox. So I found that rather interesting to say the least. But anywho, so we pick up with Tamara bringing up old dirt on people. They're having that conversation. Her and Gretchen were going back and forth, yelling at each other, which Tamara initially tried to deny, like she doesn't do that, but then got caught out there showing that she does do that. And so, in her true fashion, she starts yelling and screaming and cussing at Gretchen. Fast forward, we get into the package of Jen and Tamara's friendship. And I'm like, do we really care about this at this point? We have seen this 1,000 times. We've heard the conversations. We've seen where Jen says she's not going to fool with Tamara, and then she does. That's only happened about 1,100, 459, 11,000 times. And it's like, we ain't got nothing for this. Even if y'all were being for real and how you felt, we wouldn't care. We ain't got it to do. We're moving on. Apparently, in that, though, we find that Tamara was not telling the truth about the whole hair extensions of it all when it came to Jen, the whole living and being Jen's neighbor. All of that wasn't true. I was like, oh, okay, so we just got another liar, right? Again, it just fits in the theme of this season that we only laser focused in on for one person. But okay, don't want to digress. And the fat photo comes up from the season where Tamara was shading Jen for being heavier than what she was. Whereas most of us can say Jen looked great. We didn't see what the problem was. Even if she was a little thicker for her, she still wore it very well. And Emily in that ends up getting, well, actually rewind, because Heather was asked about that too in her involvement, right? Because she made a little comment about it and chimed in terms of Jen looking different or whatever. And you can tell that was shade too. And for me, I just felt like Heather really beat all and went all around the mulberry bush. I mean, y'all hop on the dance floor and let me know. Did she answer the question? Because I'm pretty certain that she did not. I was like, okay, so what are we saying here, Heather? Like, I think she did everything but take accountability for being shady with it as well. Talking about, oh, it wasn't in the context and it wasn't germane to what we were talking about. Girl, y'all were being shady. It don't matter what you was talking about before, after, in the middle of whatever the conversation. When that came up in particular, y'all were being shady and it was dead wrong and you should have apologized. And that's that on that. Mm. Or you should have either checked Tamara in that moment, like, nah, don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not cool. Or she don't look that bad to me or whatever, but you didn't. So, okay, Heather, now, what I was trying to say was that Emily gets emotional about the whole looking different of it all. And she said how she really could resonate with how Jen responded to her fat photo of, listen, I wasn't caring about how I was looking. I was busy being a mom, taking care of my family. And I remember that from that season, or that scene. And I could totally agree. I respect that Jen said that. And I can understand why it'd be touching for Emily and why it could resonate. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, Emily, so then next time I need you to be mindful of what comes out of your mouth anytime you want to be shaming others and saying they look like a busted can of biscuits or saying anything. Make sure you have nothing to say about how someone carries their weight. Okay? Get it? Got it? Good. Tamara says, or the conversation comes up of how she had heard that Jen had an affair with some man in the studio or yoga studio or something. Jen says it's not true. They do a little back and forth. They get into how now Will, which is Jen's ex, and um, Ryan are on good terms. They figured that out, which is great, right? Because moving forward, sometimes it's like you just want to just bury the hatchet and move on. Ain't no sense in harping on things. Listen, I don't fool with you, you don't fool with me, but we got bigger things at hand. Let's make these gatherings much more pleasurable or comfortable or whatever. We ain't got to be best friends, but we don't have to do all the hate stuff either. So good for them. We're going to go ahead and fast forward because we got a lot of fluff in here, which I personally felt like there was a lot of fluff in the part one. And the ladies are now taking their lunch break. And in that, for starters, we have Matt, Katie's husband, who arrives because he's going to be taking the stage. And I was grateful to know that was going to be a thing. And Jen and Shannon are in Jen's trailer. They're chatting up, talking. Shannon's pretty much like, what's this hard on that Tamara has for me? Because she feels like Tamara keeps coming at her. We saw a lot of that in the part one of the reunion. I ain't even gonna hold y'all. Certain points I thought was a little funny, maybe because I was just being silly. But like when Tamara was kind of making faces at Shannon and then doing her hand thing, how Shannon likes to do all that. I'm sorry, y'all. I did chuckle a little bit. Um, because I still felt like it was somewhat harmless in that moment. But either way, or Jen ends up sharing with Shannon how Ryan's friend, and I can't remember his name. Was his name Matt as well? I don't know. But Ryan's friend, who had been convicted on his felony fraudulent charges and whatever, was on his way to begin his sentence, and he was with I'll just say his partner Nicole. I don't know if that was his wife or whatever. And it just seems to me, if I'm understanding correctly, Katie literally came out of nowhere and approached Nicole to try to get some information on Ryan to be sure that he wasn't implicated in any of this or had anything to do with it or whatever. So she was trying to get some tea to be able to bring back for the reunion, and it sounded like it was a dud. Now, if that in fact were the case, which I don't see why it wouldn't be, I don't know why Jen's friend would just need to randomly make this up. Like, Katie, why are we doing that? Like, why? Why? Oh, why? Oh, why? Like, I feel like you definitely should be on hold with how you move, or you should definitely give yourself room for pause with how you move moving forward, considering that this became a very just difficult season for you, that this became a season where you were iced out, that this became a season where, as you mentioned, your paycheck got with. So in order to not have your paycheck be with moving forward, you've got to learn how to move differently and take note of the mistakes that you've made. So I'm like, if you are already involved in mess and with the blogs and the podcasters or whatever you want to call them, influencers, and he said this and you told him that, but you didn't, but you did, and all of that, let's not cause more confusion. Let's not then go approach someone else trying to get some more tea. The lesson must be learned, I say again, Katie. So I'm just like, I really hope that ain't the case. Now, Jen's sitting on that because I was waiting for her to bring it up at the reunion, and maybe she will on part three. I'm like, what are we waiting for? Because you got that information and you haven't disclosed that yet. I thought that would have been the first thing out of her mouth once they started everything and Katie and Jen's friendship came up, but apparently not. So we know that's something sitting in the archives. A little weird. The lady, even Nicole, was saying that it was weird. Like Katie was kind of weird with it. So I just don't think that was a good look if that was the case for Katie. But we're back on the couch, and the theme of the season arises was just the whole naked wasted situation. We get all the clips and the highlights centered around this. And Katie and Jen, they get into their friendship of it all because obviously this situation caused their divide. And, Andy's asking, oh, do you guys miss each other? Da, 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 da. Katie's on some, of course I do. Jen's on some, I don't know if it was a real friendship type bit, whatever. So Gretchen and Jen, apparently in this conversation, it comes up that they had posted some type of video. It looks like they're working out in a gym somewhere. And we have a still photo of Gretchen kind of doing what looks like a karate chop of some sort or whatever. And we learned that this caused issue for Katie because it seemed like it came across as offensive because Gretchen's making all these noises and again just all these different gestures that she feels like could be taken to be offensive to the Asian community. And Jen was the one who happened to post it, so while Jen wasn't participating in it, she still posted it. And so that was a whole big to do where apparently, Katie was like, well, when I brought it to your attention, Jen, you put it back on me and was blaming me, yada, yada, yada. So, anyways, the long and short of that, Gretchen apparently had apologized for the video, according to Katie, but Katie said that Jen had not. So, in that moment, Jen does apologize. She's like, "Oh, I apologize to anyone who was offended by it," because she's still kind of mad at Katie because she's feeling like, "How could you, feel like I would be that type of person after 2 years of knowing me? I would never come at you like that." Yada yada yada. Okay, great. And so, even when she did give her apology, I'm like, Jen, what you should have done and could have done first was apologize directly to Katie and then to everyone else, the bigger community that was offended. But okay, girl, to me, it was super disingenuous that I almost feel like she shouldn't have said in that moment. She should have just held the phone until, as they would say in this episode, held the line until she was ready to say it. And so, even with Gretchen's apology that Gretchen had made prior to now, Katie's like, oh yeah, it was a whole chat GPT type apology. Like she looked it up, she gave the words, and that was that. She was like, because I looked it up and those were kind of the same words, and Gretchen doesn't talk like that. And of course, Gretchen's denying it, but ends up apologizing in that moment again, nonetheless, whatever. Who cares? We get a viewer question as to why Jen was so quick to drop her friendship with Katie over the whole lie detector test, but not with Gretchen, who she gave a pass for misspeaking on the whole hospital thing, right? And so Jen's response was all, again, like Heather's, around the mulberry bush. Because it just made no sense to me, because in one regard she's saying that, she feels like Katie had her ear to the ground, and she was coming up with all this stuff and beginning to just get real messy with it and digging up stuff and tea on people and all of that. Now that could have made sense in that moment, right? Because then I'm like, okay, well, maybe what she's trying to say is that I knew I could no longer fool with her because she was just becoming, excuse me, too messy for my liking. Her character was really starting to show in a different light. I can't fool with people like that. And it just happened to be a coincidence that it's in this moment when this lie detector stuff comes up. I would understand that. But for the fact that Katie chimed in and was like, yo, Jen, you were doing it too. Excuse me, I'm still trying to get my voice back. Like, you were doing it too. I'm like, and Jen couldn't even deny it. Jen got stuck. Like, yep, yeah, yeah. Okay, so girl, so then what? So what's your reason then? I'm like, that makes no sense. I have a bottom line for that, and I'll get to that at the end of the video, what that all is about. Anywho's, Andy explains how, and to be honest, I was saying in this moment, even before I get to my bottom line, I feel like too, it just sways more in the direction why Jen didn't fool with Katie anymore, is because she's just mad that Katie dragged her into this. Period. So Andy explains how all this came about, the whole naked wasted drama. To give people a little bit more context, he shares that that night, Gretchen, Slade, Matt, Katie, Jen, and Ryan had all gone to, what is it, Maestro something. And this is all before filming started, right? This is months before. And the conversation came up, and Gretchen felt like she could have gone to the hospital, she said, in that moment, but she said she never said that she did. And that made, and I'm like, okay, so now so now we're switching it to that you felt so bad you told her instead you felt like you could have gone to the hospital. Like, I don't know, y'all. It was just, I'm still like, I don't believe you, Gretchen, and that's just it. And there's this whole thing where Jen didn't seem to know about it at first when it was brought up, like she was so clueless. Then the next day, the very next day, she was able to give more detail about it. And everybody's like, but girl, if you didn't know about it, how are you able to come and give detail about it? So that was a little fishy to me, too. We get another viewer question who asked how Gretchen could have misspoken when it's clear she said it on camera in the car when they were in New Orleans. And I'm like, exactly. So from there, Gretchen decides she's going to take full responsibility, and she blames it on all the things as to why she said it, but the truth, in my opinion. And it was all giving BS. And obviously, you've watched the season. Obviously, folks know when they've got to do the damage control and why they've got to make things pretty again and put a bow on it. You've had time to get your thoughts together as to what you would say to defend the fact that you said this and you know you messed up in saying it. And so that's the moment, that's what the moment was giving for me. Like, okay, girl, you rehearsed this and this is what you were going to go with. And it still doesn't work for me. So Shannon even hops in and tries to defend her misspeaking. And then all the ladies immediately jump in like, no, 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 that ain't no misspeaking. The difference between misspeaking is, somebody calling Shane Sean or whatever, and I'm like, exactly. Let's not go there, Shannon, because your girl said exactly what she meant to say. Emily feels that Gretchen has told the story so many times that she couldn't keep up with it and probably started embellishing on things. And listen, I'll give them that. Okay. Even if you want to say that, that very well could be the case, right? You done told the lie so many times you can't keep up with the lies. Isn't that what they say? Isn't that the tradition of how lying goes anyway? And that's why it's better to tell the truth, because you ain't got to keep up with the details of what you say from here, there, and everywhere. But either way, however method, form, or fashion it comes out, the reason why it comes out, the bottom line is that it came out. She still said it. Okay. Even if we go to this point that it wasn't true, because then everybody starts getting into all the reasons why it wasn't true. And listen, that's fine too. The bottom line is that she still said it. We cannot lose sight of that. She still said it, point blank into the period. Because even then, Andy starts, is it that moment where, no, he didn't say it yet. I don't think Andy has said it yet at that point. Okay, yeah, Andy didn't say it yet, so I'm jumping the gun. what Andy does do is say that he or they had extended invitations for Slade, Ryan, and Matt to come and share their side of things with the story, right? And the only one who decided to show up was Matt, which I totally can respect. I think all of the men should have shown up. And I found that rather interesting on Slade and Ryan's part, considering that they didn't have other engagements or legitimate reasons not to be there. We didn't hear the lady say, "Oh, well, he couldn't make it because he had a prior engagement." Even if they would have said that, I would have been like, "Oh, that's BS," but at least that sounds credible, even to a very slight degree. Or he's not feeling well, or he tried to make it, but he missed his like something. Give us something other than nothing, okay? Because it's giving very much guilty. It's giving very much y'all didn't have it to do come to try to catch up and keep up with these lies and to back it up. Could it give the side of they just didn't want to fool with it because they're over it? No, no. And here's why: because Slade and Ryan are both men who love the camera. Slade is a housewife for Pete's sake, as we were reminded of in this particular part two also, which we need to be reminded of. We already knew that. Slade has shown throughout the whole season how he just loves being in the mix with the ladies and all. So he didn't want to be there because he was tired of people accusing him of wanting to be a housewife. I said, "Oh, y'all get the out of here with that. That's some old bull, and you got to come with something better." Okay, I ain't with it. Especially Slade. Especially Slade. You know, Ryan is my boy. Ryan don't even matter to me in this instance. Where's Slade at? Makes no sense. And to me, I feel like because this is the moment then we get where Matt walks out and sits on the couch. She was giving nervous, in my opinion. If you look at her face, meanwhile, Emily's a person apart, piercing into Matt's soul. I'm like, Emily, and again, and it just shows me still just how hateful she is. I just do not care for her. Like, why are you sitting there looking at that man like that? Like, what does him showing up have to do with you? You and Katie apparently talked out your little difference with the whole bringing up her custody and this, that, and the third, and whatever. Not saying y'all are all good, but what are you looking at him like that for? What has he done to you? He didn't make up the babysitter thing or whatever issue you had. Girl, stop. So I was already annoyed just even seeing that little bit. And so Andy asked Matt about Slade wanting him to hold the line because they get into that. And he couldn't really explain himself good because there's just cutoffs happening and all of that. But he decides he wants to take it back to the dinner, and how he said the story was presented to them or illustrated to them in a fashion and a manner, by Slade and Gretchen to convey just how evil Tamara is and can be. And I totally 100% believe that. That sounds like something exactly they would be doing. It all makes sense at the end of the day with them having returned to the show. They needed some allies coming on. They've been gone for a minute. They can't stand Tamara. And of course, they're going to grab whoever will be on their side to hate her along with them. So I'm like, yeah, okay, give us more. And even Gretchen, in that moment when he said that, didn't deny it. And he goes on to say that the story that they told ended up turning into the roof being and the hospital of it all. And even in that moment, I'm paying attention. And Gretchen lightly shakes her head no, but it was still giving guilty to me. Okay. And like she really couldn't deny it. And so Matt, in my opinion, was sharp with it. Shannon says he was nervous and shaken. Listen, I mean, he's on a platform that he's not accustomed to being on. There's cameras there, and he does need to make sure that he gets this right because he has to defend his name. He's there to defend his wife. Of course, it's called pressure, Shannon. But anywho, so because he's so sharp with it and he's coming at them, the ladies are calling him rude, especially when he cuts Jen off because Jen wants to go on to explain why Ryan wasn't there. Now, I do wish that Matt would have allowed her to say whatever it was she was going to say because it was going to be BS anyway. And then Matt could have then turned around and called it BS. So he didn't have to cut her off in that moment. But at the same time, he completely ignores her. And the ladies are having a hissy fit about it. And I'm just like, yo, like, just get over it. What? I feel like they wanted to make him out to be like this disrespectful husband that just came in. And it's like, don't do that, y'all. Don't even do it. No, again, like I said, he was a husband who came to defend his wife, and he did that. He was a husband who came and spoke up as he should have. What did y'all want him to do? He was not coming to play nice, and I don't think he was disrespectful at all. Correct me if I'm wrong on the dance floor and let me know. What did he do that was so wrong? Because he ain't have time for y'all BS, and he wasn't here for the and didn't want to hear the nonsense that y'all were spewing, that you've already spewed all season long. Nah, he came back with his vengeance. And so, like I said, had they felt a ways about it and all the things, and they should have had their husband there. Okay, he's not, there's not much that he can do being in the position that he's in, being the only man there himself. And what he did do, like I said, was enough for me. He didn't call nobody out their name. He didn't get loud with anybody. He didn't get in anybody's face. So what did he do wrong? Anywho's, so um in that conversation too, because I felt like I said Gretchen's cutting him off at certain points. It's like a tomato of the conversation. And even Matt's like, I'm sorry, were you a part of the conversation I had with Slade? And I'm like, exactly, Gretchen, be quiet. And so now in this to deflect, she says that, oh, well, that night, you know what you said too. And at first, Jen, I think is the one who called it out, but she made it seem like she wasn't going to say nothing. And Gretchen's like, oh, well, I'll say something. You said the moment you met Eddie, you knew he was gay. And so I'm like, okay, whatever. Do we care about that? We do not. Moving forward. And so Slade said that, um, or excuse me, Matt was sharing how Slade had told him that Katie had spoken with Kiki Monique, and apparently it wasn't never supposed to get out. So it sounded like to me in that moment, Matt started freaking out when he learned that Katie had said something to Kiki Monique. And so now there was this thing to do cover up and keep things under wraps. And um, a text comes up that Matt had, which states that Katie and Gretchen would stay aligned. So he's doing his best he can to just show how, listen, Slade was contacting me. And that's the thing, too. I'm like, we even saw, if you were to kind of pause your screen and look, there was a couple of calls from Slade, just even in that one call log. And it all makes sense. The texting back and forth, why else would Katie be swearing to keep something a secret? Like, so it's like, Gretchen, you're not even making any sense. And again, your man is not even there to help you to even make sense of it. Why is he not there? If y'all are telling the truth, why is he not there? That's all I want to know. And I love how Gretchen even said Katie's been proven to be a liar many times. And I'm like, so you haven't been? You have. You absolutely have been this season, girl. You need to go back and rewatch because you're missing something. And now here's the part from before I was trying to say where Andy chimes in. He was like, well, if this situation had happened, because I feel like he's defending it, 15 years ago, the naked, wasted thing, then it would have been a huge deal that they all would have dealt with. And I think Gretchen's like, exactly. I would have called the cops and da 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 da. And Tamara, Katie, and Matt are all chiming in, like, yeah, but it was a lie. So that's the point. You couldn't do that because that still doesn't negate the fact that it was a lie. So no, it may not have happened, and she may not have said anything. But y'all are focusing on the wrong thing. The point is, she told a lie about it. And I'm like, Andy, is that not clicking for you? What they're trying to say? And they said that quite a few times throughout the episode. And so just my again opinion of Slade not coming, because everyone has accused him of being a housewife, super lame excuse not to be there. I'm like, that's the best he could do. Again, I smell another lie. And Matt threw some shade in there, said that's asked Gretchen what number housewife is Slade on, what number you for? I was like, come on, Matt, with the shade. Maybe you ought to get an orange. But anyways, she was like, I'm his third wife. And I'm like that makes a difference, girl. Like you just like you think you just said something in that moment. And again, the ladies are having a hissy fit. Oh, a hissy fit. Oh, don't say that. Oh, that's rude. Oh, he shouldn't say that. Oh, I'm like, y'all, get over it. Get over it. He absolutely should. He's just calling a thing. All right. Y'all want to come to play. Y'all been playing all season and played in this man's face or this man's wife's face and got this man's wife booted up out of here. What do you want him to come with? Make it make sense to me. Somebody, anybody, I'll take it. Okay. And so Katie tells Jen also in the conversation that she F with her livelihood and her paycheck. And to Katie's point, I guess her defense with that is, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, it's the fact that she just felt like Jen wasn't there to defend her. Had she been there to defend her, Katie would have still been able to film with the ladies and be on the show. All would have been much better than what it turned out to be. And that money would have been hitting that bank account. Okay. And so, my bottom line, y'all, wrapping this up at the end of the day, is that I feel like Gretchen and Jen are, let's say the favorite word, aligned because it just works for Jen. Like when everybody turned on Katie, Jen had to attach to someone. Jen knew sitting on that couch at Emily's house the day they did that lie detector test that was fishy AF. And when those moments happened that revealed the results for Katie being a liar, she couldn't stay connected to Katie. She just couldn't. That was not going to work. And people will do anything for some money and some camera time. So that's why I feel like Jen hopped on to Gretchen so much. I'm not gonna act like, oh, maybe Gretchen or Jen didn't care for Gretchen or like Gretchen prior to that, but they weren't friends like that. You heard it out of Jen's mouth when she said Katie was one of my best and realest friendships on this show or amongst these ladies. Exactly. And so you're just gonna link up and connect to Gretchen with just like that after dropping someone who was so dear to you. Like, yeah, okay, Jen. There's strategy behind that, in my opinion. Like I said, it works for her. I'm glad that Katie did speak up. Did she drop any bombs and all this other stuff? No, she did not. But it gave more than what maybe Katie would usually give. Like I felt like even her first reunion she was more passive than anything. So I'm glad she spoke up. I'm glad she cut people off. I'm glad she interjected. I'm glad she was making sense as far as I was concerned in those moments. And again, I'm glad that her husband came and showed up for her at the end of the day. And you can slice it however you want. I personally still feel like Gretchen lied about that, right? Yes, Katie has lied throughout the season. Yes, Katie most certainly you can say has turned into the boy who cried wolf, right? I've said that before. So even when she is telling the truth, it's hard to believe, but not so much for me in this instance, only because I feel like there have been things to back that up within this season, particularly and especially the janky lie detector test, who showed the other ladies were liars, and even Emily chimed in, if I'm not mistaken, y'all, in this episode and said that they're only like 86% correct and all this other stuff. Again, trying to hop on Katie's good leg again with that because she knows the fans were Team Katie. But also the fact that we saw Gretchen say it in the van, it was on film. And those two things have nothing to do with Katie. Katie's out the equation. Katie can't even help in that moment. We are going with what we have seen to back this up. And the text messages again, why is Slade texting Matt these different kind of things, and that's what men sit and talk about if it ain't nothing happening with the ladies. Like I thought they'd be talking about sports or linking up for some drinks or playing some dominoes or something. So come on, miss me with all of it. I just feel like it's a crock of crap on Gretchen's part. But even if you feel like it's not, then I hope, excuse me, y'all, we can come to a common ground and saying at the end of the day, sorry, y'all, I didn't get it. At the end of the day, then they're both liars. Then both sides of the coin, if you want to say Katie and her husband allegedly and Gretchen and Slade allegedly are all liars, then they're all liars at the end of the day. Let's agree on that. If anything, because Gretchen wanted to come out like she's just been done so wrong. I think she messed up. I don't think she thought the season was going to play out this way. She didn't play her hand well. She dropped the ball, and that's that on that. But the music is on, y'all. The dance floor is lit. Don't be no prude and hold up the ball. Y'all hop on the dance floor. Let me know your thoughts, your comments, your opinions on this. What I missed in bringing up, and a lot of times, of course, after the fact, I think of things that I would have said to you guys, or that popped in my head, or whatever. But I just at the end of the day, I'm still with Katie on this. So y'all have to let me know. But I hope this video's found you in good spirits. If it hasn't, I hope I said something to make you feel a little better. Y'all, I'm hoping to be able to present a little better when I come for part 3. I'm so sorry, y'all. I feel like I was all over the place. Hopefully, I'm making sense and wasn't as distraught and sounding crazy and not directly answering questions like Heather and Jen. But either way, or I just definitely wanted to come and show my face to y'all nonetheless. So, sending social hugs to you all, and y'all know I will be back next week to do it all over again. I promise you I will, because I ain't going to be out of town. Okay. So until then, y'all know what to do. Y'all stay up. Y'all stay blessed. And I'm out. Peace.